Hi, everybody, and welcome to the AZ Central Newsroom. We're here with Christy Morcom from the Wildlife World Zoo out in Litchfield Park on the west side of town. And we have probably one of the most native lizards to the Southwest in a Gila monster. And who do we have here?
So we have Manny, and Manny is indeed a Gila monster. These guys are such fascinating lizards. I love to be able to educate the public on them because they're beautiful, for one.
Yeah.
And they're a lizard that a lot of people, even that live here in Arizona, might not get the opportunity to see in person.
Where do they live specifically within the desert Southwest?
So specifically, they're going to be found in the southwest region of the United States and in northern parts of Mexico. They're going to be found in the different deserts throughout our area. And they're amazing because they're so well adapted for life out in the desert. One adaptation that these guys have that is crucial to their survival is this fabulous tail. So that tail is very large.
Can I touch it, Christy?
You can.
Okay. Oh, whoa. He tensed up. Yeah. Sorry, Manny. I hope that's okay. Wow, look at that. And then it's so rigid.
Very rigid. And that's where they're going to store their fat. So that little extra fat reserve is going to help these guys survive when the weather's not warm. Okay. In the winter months, they'll go underground, and they will actually spend about 95% of their life underground. I
was reading that, and they actually sort of hibernate towards the winter, months, and then they'll come out, in the spring and summer. And their body temperature?
Being a reptile, their body temperature really fluctuates based on the outside temperature. So when it's really cold, everything slows down, and they're able to go months without eating, and as long as they have their nice little energy
the reserves
reserve.
Here. Yeah. Is it squishy?
It's
yeah,
a little,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, wow. It started jelly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's where all their fat's going to be found. And then these guys, when the weather's really warm, they'll often come to the surface and eat. Okay. And what's great is their ability to adapt, because they can be nocturnal, they can be diurnal, or even crepuscular, where they're active.
Easy. Crepuscular. That should be a graphic here. What does that mean?
So that means they're going to be active in the early dawn hours or the later dusk hours. Okay. So they can change their living habits based on the outside temperature.
The other thing that's really unique about these is the coloring, right?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you do not see it's almost sort of a coral, esque with a gray, but all over. I was impressed that the belly is also, that color. That really makes them unique.
It does make them really unique. And the reason they have this coloring is to warn predators out there. Kind of when the animals have the really bright coloring, poison dart frogs, it's a warning to the animals out there, because these guys are venomous.
We hadn't talked about that. We need, let's notice how I'm not coming anywhere near. There's the tongue. It's coming out. But they are venomous from the standpoint of their bite.
Yeah.
They don't have fangs like you would think of diamondbacks or rattlesnakes. These guys, their venom comes from their teeth and their gums basically underneath as they're biting and chewing, right?
Yeah, so these guys produce the venom through their saliva glands, and what they'll do, because they don't have fangs, is they'll chew. They'll really grind their teeth into the predator pursuing them, and that is how they're going to inject the animal with their venom, is by grinding, breaking that skin, and using their saliva.
And then the prey, then it's ingested and they become,
Yeah, and these guys, they're kind of
dead,
a lazy lizard.
I guess is the word, yeah.
And a lot of their prey, they actually don't rely on their venom to kill, that their bite is sufficient enough, because they'll go after things like eggs and baby animals, things they don't have to work too hard for. They're not very fast creatures. They only go like a mile and a half per hour.
Okay. And Christy, you're holding Manny because, obviously you can't tame these guys, and they're not safe. And so people at home should know that if you come across a Gila monster out in the desert or whatever, don't approach it. Leave it alone.
Absolutely. These are a protected species, so you don't want to approach it. You don't want to handle it. They are very dangerous, and we absolutely don't recommend people trying to pick up a Gila monster.
Yeah. How often do people see them? I mean, they're underbrush. I noticed where they were living, and then they burrow a lot, but they're basically out in the middle of the desert. They're nowhere near basic civilization.
Right. I mean, they're pretty rare out there. I have been hiking my whole life. I'm an Arizona native. And unfortunately, I've never seen one out in the wild. I've only seen them at Wildlife World and places that have them under human care. But the reason that they're not so common and that people don't see them that often is because they do live underground 95% of their time. They'll come above the surface to eat and to breed. And breeding season's actually going on right now.
Okay.
And that's typically when you're going to see these guys.
Does Manny have a mate at the zoo?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He does have a little mate.
Okay.
His little mate isn't as laid back as Manny, though.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a female.
Okay.
And Manny is just...
She's feisty is what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's her name?
She's a little feistier. So she actually has a couple different names. I'm not sure.
What does Manny like to call her, I guess?
It's his girlfriend.
His girlfriend.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And they love the summer rains, by the way. That's one thing that does bring them out of their burrows. In what I was reading is they love to come and then find a little puddle and roll around in it and cool themselves off a little bit and then go back down, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of times, summer rain, you'll see these guys. Breeding season, you'll see them. They're just not out and about all the time.
All right, so do you know, this is the little trivia part
Okay,
here, Christy,
okay.
that I warned you about.
Yes.
There's a college in Arizona.
Okay.
And there's a professional sports team in the country that have a Gila monster as a mascot. Now, it's their physical mascot. One could be the mascot, that runs around the stadium, and the other one is an official mascot of the school. Do you know?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know anything about sports.
Okay.
So I'm definitely striking out. And you said the school's here in Arizona?
The college is here in Arizona.
Okay.
It's a small college. I don't expect you to know.
Oh gosh darn it. Okay. I'll just throw a guess out then.
But that they use this as their mascot is really interesting to me.
That's fabulous. What an amazing mascot.
Eastern Arizona College.
Okay, I never would have guessed that.
Gila Hank is the nickname
how
of theirs.
cute.
And then the professional team that uses it is the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Their mascot that runs around their stadium is Chance. It's called Chance, and it's a Gila monster. And so go look those up online. They're fun little to see how they sort of figured it out. But the colors are just right. And Vegas is this gray color, and so they use the gray. And I think they fudged on they used it more of a golden color instead of sort of the coral that I would see here. But
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
That is so interesting. Oh my gosh, I would totally go see one of those games.
Okay, so they eat eggs.
They'll eat eggs, they'll eat baby animals. They will sometimes eat little lizards, little rodents,
Okay.
baby birds, really whatever they can get a hold of. And when they do eat, they can eat a third of their body weight, no problem.
And they eat like a snake. They crunch it, I don't know what that's called, gnash it, and then they just swallow it like a snake.
Yeah, and oftentimes they'll swallow their food whole. Like they'll take an egg and just swallow it whole, no problem.
And they get along with each other,
They do.
with their own species. They don't attack or fight amongst each other.
Unless it's breeding season, then the males start dueling for the females. And what is so cute, so a little group of Gila monsters is called a lounge.
A lounge.
A lounge, yeah. So if you ever
Lounge
come
lizards,
across
literally.
a little group, it's a little lounge.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. I did not read that or know that. How many do you have at the zoo?
Okay, so we have, in Dragon World, we have 2 of these Gila monsters. We also have the Mexican beaded lizards, which are really closely related to these Gila monsters, and they're also venomous as well, and they're a little bit bigger.
And they're all by themselves.
So Manny lives with his girlfriend, and then the Mexican beaded lizards are a little pair too.
How many other lizards do you have at the Wildlife World Zoo?
Oh my
I'm sure
gosh.
it's of the reptilian.
I love our reptile collection. So we have over 6,000 animals in general, over 600 different species, making us the largest exotic animal collection in Arizona. And we have our Tropics of the World building with tons of really fun lizards and snakes and frogs, lots of amphibians, and we have an open glass snake exhibit where there's nothing between you and the snake.
Wow.
It always freaks a lot of people out,
Yeah.
people who aren't into the snake scene. And then we have Dragon World, which is amazing. That's where you're going to find Manny.
Yeah.
And we have some really large reptiles over there. We have a reticulated python that's like 20 feet long, some huge tortoises, a saltwater crocodile,
Oh, wow.
some really fun lizards, the rhinoceros iguana, some monitors. It's a lot of fun if you're into reptiles, since we have species from all over the world.
And he's about 15 years old.
Yes.
And they live to be about 30 in captivity. And the interesting thing for me is just the name, the Gila monster.
Right?
It just says, beware, right?
Okay, do you know how they got that name?
No.
Okay, so let me think so I don't mess it up. So they were first discovered in the Gila River Basin,
Okay.
which is how they got
Right.
the name.
Between New Mexico and Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, Christy Morcom, thanks so much for bringing Manny, the
Yes.
Gila monster, in. Again, just a warning, do not approach these out in the wild. These are venomous creatures, not to be messed with, and they're protected. And just leave them alone, let them be, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Christy, thanks for joining us
Yes, thank
here
you.
in the AZ Central Newsroom. Have a great day.